Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ango Show. We are live. It is May 5th, 2025. And wow, what a day. What a day. What a weekend for professional wrestling. My name is Ango. I'm joined by Billy TKO. We're going to be live talking about a lot of stuff, man. There was a lot of craziness that happened this week. Obviously, I've been covering it around the clock on YouTube and TikTok and social media, and I've been very active about this situation. But I feel like we need to have a conversation, Billy, because WWE made these releases, and I feel like it would be really. I know sometimes people don't like the idea of fantasy booking people when they get released, but I do think there are some really good wrestlers who have been released who will do great things outside of the WWE. And I kind of want to talk about where they can go, where they can fit. And I'm very, very excited to engage with you on this conversation, but also most importantly, I'm excited to see what the chat has to say. So
absolutely,
chat, if you guys have your own theories, your own opinions, you guys agree with us, disagree with us, that's okay. Let us know what you think. Of course, members get the highest priority, but of course, you can drop a super chat. Super chats guarantee that your questions and comments get read. And of course, we'll definitely be talking about this stuff because it is huge. If you guys don't know what memberships are, you could actually become a member. It starts at $1.99. There's a couple different tiers, but you could unlock chat, priority, emotes, all this stuff. Definitely consider doing so. Billy,
yes,
you
sir.
saw the releases, bro.
Mm-hmm.
So before we talk about where they can go, things of that nature, let me just hear from you, your reaction. What was your feeling when you saw the news? What are you thinking today now that it's been a couple days? Let's get a rundown.
Yeah, so now that we've had a couple days to actually sit down with it, I guess my initial thought is like, I mean, it sucks, right? It's, people losing their jobs. These are real humans at the end of the day. So that always sucks. But what I want people to realize is that we're in a very healthy wrestling industry now. These people are all going to be fine. They're all going to land on their feet no matter what they choose to do. And a lot of people, they had their own reactions toward this. They felt like they needed to say what they needed to say. Some people, would go out there, saying it was good or saying it was, bad. People all had their own feelings about it. Me personally, I just thought to myself, number one, I think like one person in particular that kind of stuck with me was Cora Jade. I hated seeing her go. But other than that, like, all of these people, they're all going to be fine. They're all going to land on their feet no matter what they do. So I guess that's after the couple days of thinking about it. First day was like, this sucks. Couple days later, it's, these people are all going to land on their feet.
Yeah, I think it's so crazy too, because there were definitely some names I was shocked with. And then, the more and more as time went on, I mean, even initially, like when I saw Cora Jade get released, I'm going to be honest with you, bro, like things are kind of messy backstage. You hear of stories and things are messy, and then you got to look at the crop of talent. And so sometimes it doesn't become necessarily surprising to me. I think what was really crazy, though, in my opinion, as this all unfolded, was that these happen all the time. And the one thing that frustrates me, and I got a little bit of flack on social media because I said, I'm not doing this fake outrage bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, these releases happen in companies all over the world. It's not just WWE that does it, and AEW does it as well, and other companies do it as well. We thought AEW would never release talent, and then we saw what happened with Anthony Henry, who was injured and got released. And yeah, Tony Khan brought him back after, but it was the fact that these companies in general, corporations, are going to do releases. They are going to fire people.
For sure.
And so my initial reaction was like the same as it's always been. It freaking sucks when you see it happen. There is no sitting here being like, oh my God, I'm so excited, right? Like that doesn't happen. But I'm understanding, and I think it's also important to acknowledge the fact that, like, as you said, the wrestling industry is so healthy.
Yeah.
We can't have people sit here and talk about, I love AEW, and then get pissed at Triple H or the WWE, Nick Khan. No, if you love AEW and you see that WWE has released talent, well, then you should be advocating for Tony Khan to sign some of these talents.
Absolutely.
Because if you really love these talents, then you wouldn't be sitting here pushing a narrative of fuck WWE, fuck Triple H, fuck Nick Khan. What you would be doing is saying, hey, you were fumbled over there. You were talented enough to become all elite wrestling. But that kind of hasn't happened. Instead, what we get is the majority of the reaction I've seen since the releases is, how the fuck do you keep Austin Theory there, but you got rid of Cora Jade? How is it that so-and-so is still there, but Nikita Lyons, Nikita Lyons is still
It's
there?
a constant comparison.
It is. And it's I will never advocate for people to lose their jobs because I'm a human being.
Yeah.
But of course, when it comes to wrestling tribalism, people do tend to throw that away because either they're rage baiting, they're grifting, whatever. But I definitely want to talk about where certain people can go and where they fit, because unlike other people, I do care. You do care about the health of the business. And, I think there's a lot of times where people want to argue about these kind of semantics, but I think we could talk all day about bloated rosters, and it doesn't change. AEW and WWE are both very bloated. That continues to be the thing. But for me personally, I think we just have to understand that until multiple companies start getting billionaires involved, it's going to continue being bloated rosters. Just because there's bloated rosters doesn't mean there shouldn't be people who are signing contracts.
Exactly.
We did get 2 super chats to kick us off, and we will read those, and then we'll kind of dabble into this conversation. Toledo Channel's back with $100, not $100, 100 rupees. And he says, with the large talent pool WWE has, WWE needs to expand to countries like Australia, UK, India, Japan through startups and create local box office draws. And that's essentially what WWE will be doing.
For sure.
That's kind of been part of their plan, the global expansion. And we're actually seeing it now with Mexico, with AAA. That's going to be a very fascinating situation to uncover and watch as time goes on, because actually I covered it today on the channel. So if you guys haven't watched it, but 8 new signings have been revealed. WWE has inherited the contracts of Alberto Del Rio, Vikingo, Wagner Jr., and many other talents. So if you guys missed those videos, check it out. But yeah, like WWE, if they're going to have AAA, we don't know if it's going to be WWE, NXT, Mexico. We don't know what their plan is.
We don't know necessarily what line it's going to fall under.
But you're going to see these WWE brands operated all across the world.
Oh, for sure.
And there probably will come a time where because the main roster is so bloated that maybe certain talents will be able to just specifically stay in Japan or whatever.
Absolutely.
Who knows?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'd love to see it.
Yeah. It's definitely necessary too.
It is, for sure, for the growth.
Yeah. I think so.
I
think it's 100% necessary.
Yeah.
And it makes a lot of sense, it really does. What is going on here?
Oh,
no, I just thought we were having a slight little glitch. That doesn't appear to be the case. We're good. Shout out to Toledo Channel for the super chat. Jay Henry coming through with $4.99. He says, Kaden and Katana Chance release confirms the death of women's tag division. They are the best tag team in the world. And I'm going to echo this. This was it because the women's tag team division, Billy, doesn't have so many tag teams that are like
a lot of the teams are just kind of thrown together.
Yeah, this was a bummer. And I actually made a TikTok, YouTube short on this. 5 WWE stars that should sign to AEW. Like, if I'm Tony Khan, who am I signing? I just want to be on the record here with Tony Khan. And I know this is not going to be a popular opinion because AEW has so many tag team, so many belts. I would advocate for AEW to get rid of the trios belts
and add the women's tag belts.
Women's tag team belts. Yeah. And in fact, I would have them sign Kaden and Katana to be a legitimate tag team in this division. And I would actually have AEW, Ring of Honor, CMLL, Stardom, and any other company they want to work with.
Utilize all those companies.
Yes. Utilize all those companies to have a women's tag team division.
Yeah.
100%.
I would agree with that.
If I'm Tony Khan, that's what I would do. Get rid of the trios belts. They're dumb. They're pointless.
It is an unpopular opinion. Like, I don't think that's going to sit well with a lot of people. I would say that, but I would actually agree with you on that stance.
Yeah, I don't think it's a popular opinion by any means, but I'm sticking to my guns on it, to be
For
honest.
sure. I get it. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Yeah. But it does. It almost feels like it does confirm the death of what they're doing with that tag team division, because they were such a important piece for what felt like was going to happen with those women's tag titles.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's just the women's tag team division is a bust.
It's been a bust from, I mean, it came, it was cool in the beginning, and then after that, it just kind of fell off the high horse that it was on.
No, I think it's been a dud.
Fair.
I don't think it's.
Well, I thought when Sasha and Bailey had them, like that's when they felt really important.
When Sasha and Bailey had them, when Jade and Bianca, Naomi, like that whole story with Bianca and Naomi, like that was fine. But I don't think this has been. And
it's
now
just
you got
been
Liv Morgan.
start, stop.
Yeah, and Liv Morgan, by the way, she's going to be in a movie and she's going to be off for a month, but it's okay for them because they're not going to strip the belts. Like,
right.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Women's tag team division in WWE is slightly dying. This should be an opportune time for AEW. Kaden Carter, Katana Chance. It's just, they're not going to, in my opinion, I don't see them as singles talent. I don't see that.
No.
But I do agree with Jay in the sense that they are the best tag team, women's
Am
tag
I
team
crazy for saying that I don't think they sign with AEW and I actually think that they sign with TNA?
I see them very much going to TNA.
Yeah, I could definitely see the two of them in TNA.
You know, it's interesting because TNA has been making some signings. They've had several new signings revealed over the weekend. So not only have new signings been revealed for them, but also one thing that's not being discussed too is that the Inspiration, aka the Iconics, are now back wrestling on the indies. And I don't know, but if you're TNA, you have these knockouts tag team belts and you need some more knockouts.
Go build yourself a women's tag division.
And then show AEW and WWE exactly why they're idiots. Like,
yep,
yeah, that's a huge one to definitely consider for sure.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jay Henry for the super chat. Definitely more to discuss. David Primero dropping $4.99. He says WWE signing Del Rio after releasing Dakota, Braun, Cora, Gigi, and others is a big no for me. I was excited for Money in the Bank. Worlds collide. Now, not anymore. I will say this. In my humble and genuine opinion, I do not foresee Alberto Del Rio stepping foot at WWE Worlds Collide. In fact, I would go as far as saying that Conan and the WWE, Jeremy Borash, are going to have him lose his belt prior to that event.
Oh, for sure. He's not headlining that event.
You don't know. I don't know.
I'm just gonna go ahead and put myself on record and say I don't think he's going to be headlining that.
Yeah,
but I could see how that rubbed people the wrong way. I could.
Well, to be fair, I never really liked Del Rio
from the get up.
Yeah, I never really cared. Yeah. I never saw him as a world champion kind of guy. This isn't a guy that I saw, winning the world title or winning the Royal Rumble or winning this, winning that. I never looked at him like that. I always thought the gimmick was cool. The
gimmick was always cool.
He had Ricardo Rodriguez. I thought the gimmick was cool. I just never was a fan of his work personally. So let's take the personal stuff and the reputation that he has and the issues that he's had. Let's take that out of the equation, just from a simple fact of like, hey, I used to watch you on my TV. Yeah. It was like the right gimmick, not the right performer.
Absolutely.
And so I never was a big fan of him. But David Primero saying this, I think it echoes a lot of what other people are feeling. Now, for clarification purposes, I don't think we see him in WWE. Yes, WWE has inherited all of these contracts so far.
But it doesn't mean that they're going to throw them on TV.
Yeah. Yeah. And deep down inside, as they do this acquisition, I think WWE specifically just like, once they get the belt off of him, he's done so.
You think so?
Yeah. And listen, if I were WWE, what I would do is before Worlds Collide, I would actually have a member of the main roster. And I'm going to throw this out there. Because they have to get the belt off of Del Rio.
Yeah.
El Patron. They have to. you can have Vikingo win it. You could have Wagner Jr. win it, right?
Yep.
Because these are two of the names that they've inherited as far as contracts go. But what I would actually do if I were WWE, and I'm throwing this out there because I think this is a fucking fascinating idea. Have Penta, Ray Phoenix, Dragon Lee, one of those three, have them go out to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say Triple Mania is before Worlds Collide. And I would have somebody from the WWE main roster go out there, somebody of Mexican descent, go out there, win the belt, and then at Worlds Collide, a WWE star is holding that belt.
I could see that. I could see that all day.
That's what I would think. I don't know how the chat feels about that, so you guys can let me know.
I don't know if they will do it, though. Again, that just feels, I don't know. I don't know. Because maybe they want to keep one of their homegrown talent with that title to bring over to Worlds Collide, showcase a new talent.
Well, if that's the case, then give it to Vikingo.
For sure. And that was going to be my suggestion, is you give it to Vikingo.
Vikingo, Wagner Jr., those two for sure are coming into WWE.
Yeah.
So that to me is what makes the most sense.
For sure.
But I will say this. I've never been more excited to see AAA in my life.
I can agree.
Yeah. I mean, and I've watched Triple Mania every year. I watch AAA. I pay attention to it, Yeah. Like, to me, it just seems like it's a no-brainer with WWE holding things down. I want to see what they do.
For sure. Somebody in the chat said have El Grande Americano go and do it. That actually is like not a bad idea.
Oh, that's a bad idea. People will get pissed.
Oh, for sure. But wouldn't that be the point?
Oh, I don't know. This is WWE. This is WWE buying AAA. You kind of want to make a big
I say
splash.
You just give it to Vikingo or Wagner Jr. and you call it a day.
Yeah. Shout out to David Primero for the super chat. Tolino Channel dropping 200 rupees. He says, regarding the NXT releases, these wrestlers need to use social media to Maven's level value. Indy Hartwell uses it too good, with good effect. With no corporate to control you, show your attitude to those who follow you.
Yes.
I say this literally all the time. All the time I say this. I got heat because I said pro wrestlers are lazy.
Yep.
I got some heat because I said pro wrestlers think they're just good at wrestling and that's all that matters. And it's not. Billy, you make music. Wrestling is no different than being an indie musician.
Nope.
You can be the best wrestler on the indies, but my God, if you suck at marketing yourself, if you don't know how to connect with people, you are fucking doomed. You are doomed. You can be very popular on the indies as a musician, but I swear to God, record labels do not want to sign you if you're not marketable. And that's exactly what it is in professional wrestling. So I echo this statement.
Be able to market yourself. It is the most important thing to do as a professional wrestler. It doesn't matter what field necessarily you're in. You just have to be marketable. And I do feel like Dakota Kai. I think Dakota Kai is going to be fine, actually, when it comes to like using social media. I think she'll figure it out. Elena Black, she's done already a good job. She's over there she's typing away. You know what I mean? Same with Gigi Dolan. Some people will be fine. Others won't. Like, Braun Strowman, for instance. I don't know if he's going to I don't think he'll have to. I think he'll be able to just kind of go walk in anywhere and get signed.
Well, I kind of disagree with that statement for the simple fact that when he got released before, we didn't see that.
But there was also a different feeling. There was a different feeling that he had. He always kind of figured that WWE was going to call him back.
I don't know if I like it.
I think he'll end up. He's another guy that I see in TNA.
I don't know if I like the idea of Braun going to TNA.
Him and Moose? Oh, God.
I don't know. I'm not sure. When he got released the first time, yeah. This time, I don't know.
A lot of people are saying they could see him potentially being done.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, you could see that.
By the way, I will say this, and this is going to be kind of ruthless, but I am throwing it out there. Mm-hmm. Pay attention to who gets released, because all of this outrage on social media, pay attention to who gets released and actually goes and tries to make something of themselves, and look at who quits. Because it happens. It happens a lot.
It does.
And I hate to say it, but even when WWE released 200 people over the pandemic, like there was a lot of people we still haven't seen get
For
back into
sure.
pro wrestling. So, yeah, social media is a big thing. Dakota Kai will be completely fine. She's active on Twitch and live streaming. She understands.
Mhm.
I think a lot of these releases will be fine. I think Shayna Baszler, we'll see her in GCW, and I think we'll see her. We'll talk about her too, but
Yeah.
I think we'll see certain people stick around, and I think we'll see certain people who have gotten released, and we'll never hear from them again.
And that just happens. It
Yeah.
happens.
Crazy.
For sure.
Flannel Channel, thank you for the super chat. Double D 2025, he dropped a $10 super chat. Ango and Billy, what's up, guys? Alberto Del Rio being signed is going to cause problems for them, and no to AEW signing anybody released besides Dakota. TK needs to sign a goddamn Booker instead. Listen, Del Rio going to WWE, we'll never see him on WWE programming. I just don't think it happens.
What if they do it though?
I don't think so.
I don't either, but you have to understand, like, he is signed with the company, so there is a possibility.
I don't think so. Like I said, I think they get the belt off of him and he'll be released from AAA WWE. I'll be so shocked if WWE brings back Alberto Del Rio
And throws him on TV.
because there would be times, you got to remember, the thing is Del Rio, like every week on TMZ, there would be something about Del Rio coming back.
Oh, bro, it was constant.
And then WWE sources internally would be like, no, that's not actually happening.
Yeah.
So,
well, my thing is like there's a lot of people with a lot of accusations or charges or whatever that have, aren't necessarily what happened to him, that have not made a return.
but it's not even just that though.
I know that. I know.
For example, take the personal drama and the issues out. Take them out.
Okay.
They don't like Del Rio like that, bro.
He was never, like you said a little bit ago, he was never like a good world champ. I never viewed him as that. I just liked his gimmick.
Yeah, I don't see him. I don't see it. I don't see it. Regarding the Dakota Kai signing, I'm sorry, Double D, but I disagree, and we'll talk about it more. But there are some people who will be valuable to AEW / Ring of Honor. There are things that need to happen in order for it to make sense. But I personally am not going to be the type of person that says so and so company shouldn't sign so and so free agent.
Right.
After they've been released, I don't think that's fair. I think
it's not.
I want people employed. So.
For sure. You want everybody to work.
Yeah.
I know I do.
And we'll talk more about it in
in due time.
Yeah. TK signing a Booker. No, I think he should just hire me instead. What?
That's funny.
I'm kidding.
That's the best joke you've given today.
Thank you. I appreciate that. At least one per stream, right?
One per stream. That's it, brother.
Double D, shout out to you for the super chat. Thank you. Daniel Moraes dropping 5 pounds. And not talking about weight. We're talking about the currency.
Bro, you need to stop.
He says, to be honest, I think majority of the women that got released would fit more in TNA than AEW. I actually agree with this. The only one who I don't want to see go to TNA in this particular situation is... No, I'm going to be honest. Not that I wouldn't like to see her in TNA. I would just like to see her in AEW because I want to see what it would be like under that kind of environment is Dakota Kai.
Okay.
Dakota Kai could go to TNA, become a world champion, right?
Yeah, the only one I was going to say is I think that Shayna Baszler, I don't necessarily see her with TNA. I more or less see her going to GCW and doing her thing.
Yeah, but GCW, small indies, I don't think that's Shayna. I think Shayna could be a top athlete for a women's division.
For sure, she could go to TNA and you could make it fit. You know what I mean? I just think when it comes down to style, I think Shayna fits with GCW.
I'm going to be honest. I think she fits both companies.
Sure.
Yeah, I do. I do think she fits both companies. But for me, I think Dakota Kai is an immediate world champion kind of girl in TNA. I think I'm fascinated by the idea of her going to AEW to see if AEW would do things differently. Because immediately when she gets released, the AEW sickos say, "Oh my God, Tony Khan would never fumble her." But I would love to see that in practice. I would love to see what Tony Khan does with Dakota Kai,
For
because
sure.
she doesn't come in as a major threat like Megan Bayne. You know what I mean?
No.
But I think she offers a lot of value to the women's division. Either way, though, I will say this. I do agree that most of the women would fit better in TNA. I also like the idea, personally speaking, of like Dakota Kai going back to Stardom,
Yeah.
but also being able to work AEW, Stardom, CMLL. You know, we see that Wrestle Dynasty event, with AEW, New Japan, and all those companies. Like, I would be cool with that too. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel it.
Shout out to Daniel for the super chat. Gerard Clark dropping $5. He says if Tony Khan signs Dakota Kai, Cora Jade, and or Gigi Dolan, he should create an AEW International Women's and Women's World Tag Team Championships. Okay, I see your reaction. Let's talk about it. There are things I like and dislike about this, but there would be a way to make it happen. But before I share that, Billy, you gave us a stank face, so I need to hear your reaction.
Just there's too many titles in that company, man. They need to figure out the ones that they have now. They need to get those together. Then, later down the line, maybe we can have a discussion about something like this. I understand, people want a fantasy book, and we want to think like, oh yeah, like if Dakota Kai goes, it would make sense, to build something like that for her, or Cora Jade, Gigi Dolan going there together. You build the tag team division, this, that, and the third. Yes, that would be great, and that would be fine, dandy, whatever the case is. But overall, I don't think that AEW is in a place right now where we can be having this discussion. I think AEW right now is kind of held captive by their own inside right now, to where it feels like it's being restrained a little bit. Like they have like these cuffs on, and these cuffs, they can't break loose through them. So therefore, we can't have a discussion about an AEW. We could talk about it, but we can't actually go ahead and book something like this if they're not even booking the titles that they already have correctly.
Yeah, so I will say this. Cora Jade and Gigi Dolan definitely shouldn't go to AEW.
No.
AEW had their shot with Cora Jade when she was Elena Black before she went to WWE, and they did not sign her. I don't think Cora Jade would go to AEW and make an impact the way she would in TNA. So
They just showed us that she would make an impact in TNA.
Exactly. Gigi Dolan is somebody who also was given an opportunity in AEW. We remember her as Priscilla Kelly.
Yep.
I don't want to see her back in AEW. I don't think she really fits with the current day AEW product. Now, with that being said, there is a way that I would do the International Women's Championship belt. I would. But it's got to be one or the other. It cannot be two new titles.
Yeah.
So if AEW removes the trios belts, right? Because I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah, like something has to go for something new to arise.
Correct. Now, the only reason why, I want to be very clear so everybody hears me clearly. Okay, there are rumors. We have talked about this for a while. Okada, Kenny, all in, title for title, and it gets unified.
Yes.
Now that means 2 less titles. If you remove the trios belts and
then
the Continental Championship,
those,
then I would be okay with a third title being introduced to the company for the women. So you have the World Championship, the TBS Championship, and then you could do the International Women's Championship, or you could do the Women's Tag Team Championship. Now, personally speaking, I would advocate more for the Women's World Tag Team Championship belts and signing Katana Chance and Kaden Carter and building a women's tag team division across AEW, ROH, and then that belt being spread out through Stardom, CMLL, and other partner companies. With that being said, it's one or the other, but the same premise for both.
Yes.
If you introduce it, it's got to be defended across all these different shows, different brands. Personally speaking, it only works if they get rid of the Continental belt and the Trios belts. This way you don't have the conversation of, oh my God, it's too many belts.
Yeah. Makes sense.
That's how I see it.
Fair.
Shout out to Gerard Clark for the $5 super chat. I remember last time I said it was Jared, and I'm pretty sure it was Gerard. So
Yep.
hopefully I got that right, brother. Thank you for the super chat. Our boy Phil coming in with $9.99. He says, I know we talked about it, but the women's tag title belts needs to go. I'm all for giving women opportunities, but I was never into them. Most of those NXT releases were just outrageous to me. Yeah, the women's tag team division in WWE just doesn't work.
Dead. It's dead.
Every time it seems like it's getting good,
They stop it. They stop it instantly.
Yeah. Would rather see WWE just put a little bit more effort. I mean, they've been doing a good job now with Zelina as well, beating Chelsea Green, but just put more of the emphasis on the mid-card titles.
Yeah, man. You know, they're about to do a really good job with it. I think even on the Raw side, you know, Lyra Valkyria, Becky Lynch, that'll be great.
Yeah.
Chelsea, Zelina, that's nice. You know, now we can get like B-Fab and Michin kind of in that mix over on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make those exciting.
You know, the thing about the women's tag title belts, I don't think me and you ever talk about this, but like the fact that it could be defended across NXT and then we barely see NXT in the mix. Really,
well, that was always kind of like the funny situation about it is they told us like, yeah, no, you're going to it's going to be across, because that was the reason why they got rid of the women's NXT championships, tag team championships, is because they were just going to do all three of them and have the titles defended on all three shows. And then you barely see, dude, they had the number one contendership match at Stand and Deliver, correct, on the kickoff show.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had the match and then nothing.
Oh my God, but look at the writing that was on the wall when Cora Jade and Roxanne lost.
Bro, I talked about that in a video the other day. I talked about it. They literally, like, I remember being mad at that because we booked it, right? We had Cora and Roxanne winning that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Roxanne walks away, or excuse me, or was it Roxanne?
Yeah, Roxanne walked out on Cora Jade.
Yeah, the writing was on the wall for numerous people, even just another, you know, Jakara Jackson and
Lash Legend with Metaphor.
With Metaphor. Yeah, they go on Tuesday and they say, oh yeah, like, you know, all of us got to go our separate ways. Well, no shit, literally, apparently. There was writing on the wall for a lot of these people and we just did not pay any attention to it.
The Metaphor thing, I'm glad they did that on NXT because Metaphor was over and Metaphor was cool. I personally love the group. It was one of the things, like watching their entrance and watching them gel together. I personally liked it. The fact that Noam Dar and Lash Legend were the two that survived was interesting to me because as a group, I feel like Oro Menza, Jakara Jackson, Lash Legend, Noam Dar, like I felt like all four of them together were just awesome. So I was kind of shocked to see that they made the decision of like, oh, we're gonna let go Oro Menza and Jakara Jackson.
Right.
You know, it was disturbing to me. That was one of those releases where I was like, man, like I would have loved to see Metaphor on the main roster
for sure.
You know, it would have been really cool. But yeah, it kind of goes back to the super chat. Most of those NXT releases were just, they're outrageous, and WWE knew ahead of time what they were doing. And listen, there's been this conversation on social media because Dave Meltzer comes out and says basically the NXT cuts, people are lazy and stuff like that.
Yeah. Obviously
it prompted Cora Jade and everybody to respond to this. But when you look at WWE NXT, it's so difficult to me, Billy. Okay. It's so difficult to me as like a fan because this is why I personally hate releases. It's like, man, like there's certain things on television I'm enjoying.
Yeah.
And now it's being stripped away. So forget about the women's tag titles for a second, but like Metaphor was a group that I liked. I also really liked the pairing of Tatum Paxley, Shotzi, and
and Gigi Dolan. Yeah.
So like the thing is, like that right there was also kind of shocking to me because Tatum Paxley is awesome. I think she's going to be a big deal as a singles competitor for sure. But then like you see these cuts happen and I'm like, damn, bro, like I don't know why you guys are doing this. Like you're
some more questionable. Yeah. I think that's one thing we can say. We can have our feelings towards these releases. We could say, okay, they're going to land on their feet. They're going to be fine and they're going to be good. But there is also we're also allowed to question, right? And be able to sit here and have a discussion the way that we are and say like, you know, like for instance, I like I said, I wasn't a big fan of the Cora Jade release.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to sit up and be like, okay, like, I don't fully understand why WWE did it, and I'm allowed to question it. Am I going to sit here and get mad at WWE for doing it? No, it's their business model. It's what they do. Am I going to be mad at, Cora Jade if she doesn't sign somewhere that I want her to sign? No, because at the end of the day, guess what? I'm a fan of Cora Jade, so I'm just going to be happy wherever she goes. You know what I mean? Like two things are allowed to be true at the same time.
Yeah.
You can be a fan, you can question things, but you do it a certain way that doesn't come off as outrageous or tribalistic. There's ways to do it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I agree. I definitely agree. Phil actually followed up with that super chat with another $9.99, and he says, seeing releases like this on Friday always sucks, but the best thing to do if I were people like Kai, Baszler, and Cora is go out there and prove them wrong. If they made a mistake, show them. All love. Yeah, like I said, it's going to be very, very telling to see who really loves this shit and who isn't cut out for it. Danny Palmer was released. She made a post saying her body's not holding up because of it. She's pretty much done with wrestling,
Who did?
Danny Palmer.
Danny Palmer. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like some people, it's, dude, and I hate saying this, but like, let's go back, for example, and let's talk about Jinder Mahal. Jinder Mahal gets released from WWE.
Yes.
Right? Comes back to WWE and eventually becomes WWE champion. Then WWE for a while stops utilizing Jinder Mahal, right? Then eventually bring him in and they start doing some stuff with him on TV. Sure enough, he has the segment with The Rock on WWE Raw. Then, what do you know? Jinder Mahal gets released from the company.
Yep.
He gets released from the company, but what happens is the Maharaja goes out and does Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. He does GCW.
Numerous
he starts doing other things. He didn't sign with AEW or TNA, but he's figured a way to get out of WWE and continue to be a good example of, hey, you could do this wrestling stuff after WWE without being on TV.
Yeah, Matt Cardona went out and tweeted it. He said, like, there's three things that with, being released talent, these are the three things that you could do. Kind of ride the name of, your WWE name and just kind of ride off that being number two. Number one being you just give up on yourself. Or number three, you go out there, prove everybody wrong, make a name for yourself, and make a lot of money and have fun.
Yeah.
Those are the three steps. That's what you do.
There's a lot of truth to it.
There is, for sure.
But there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people who get released. Where is Veer? Where is Shanky?
Yeah.
Where's Riddick Moss?
What's the one dude's name? Drake. What was his name? I can't. That's how bad I am.
Drake Maverick.
Drake Maverick. Yes.
He works for WWE as a producer, writer.
Does he?
Yeah.
Oh no shit.
Yeah. He came back. He got brought back in.
No way. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, but there's people who have been released, and I'm telling you guys, it happens. There's a lot of people who get released from WWE, and they don't go out there and try to prove people wrong. And I'm telling you right now, some people just don't have the hustle. And I swear to God, I know people are going to get so mad at me for saying this, but I genuinely believe being a pro wrestler, yes, the physical activity of wrestling, if you don't enjoy the body getting beaten up and shit, I understand. Because I'm not a pro wrestler and I don't want to be a pro wrestler and I don't want to put my body through that. But like if you're somebody who genuinely loves wrestling and you just choose not to do it, you just don't have the hustle.
Yeah.
Because you can easily, I'm telling you, it's so easy. I see a lot of indie wrestlers who don't use social media. They don't connect to people and they just want bookings. And this is so controversial. But the truth is, I do think a lot of people are lazy. And I think it's a natural human instinct for people to be lazy. So I'm not saying just wrestlers, but I'm saying like, bro, you just lost your job, right? And you have a skill that you possess. You don't need to necessarily go to TNA, AEW, or anything to have a career.
No, you can continue riding that indie wave.
Ride the indie wave, build your brand, do social media, do Twitch, do YouTube. Indy Hartwell, fascinating story. She gets released and she's doing vlogs and she's making content on YouTube and she's doing awesome stuff. She's training. Oh, wow. What do you know? She signed with TNA. Now she's on TNA. I love that. I love that for Indy Hartwell.
For sure.
And by the way, she gets signed to TNA, but it's not like she stops doing social media. This
No.
girl has the hustle. She understands you have to connect with people. And being able to connect with people and connecting with an audience is going to help
It's
you
going
get.
to help you down the line.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Not everybody could have the Matt Cardona approach where you become very, very successful on the indies. And the reason why I say that is because Matt Cardona is willing to do the hustle that a lot of people aren't willing to do.
Yeah, for sure.
But he does podcasts, he does everything.
I mean,
a
he's out
merch-
there doing everything.
everything, and he's figured it out. Like, to be honest, if I was Matt Cardona, if I'm making a lot of money and I'm my own boss, and he's able to succeed without having to get a WWE contract or AEW contract.
Yeah.
Fuck, I don't know why I would sign with other companies. I would just keep doing this,
Yeah, because you're getting paid per appearance.
But he's built value in the sense
sure.
of getting paid per appearance makes sense,
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. I think this is the most fascinating part when people get released. I want to see who actually goes out there and kills it. I think Dakota Kai easily does it. I think Shayna Baszler does it. Cora Jade. I think people are I don't know if this was her teasing it. I don't know if it was legit, but I saw something about OnlyFans, like doing an OF. I don't know, man. I feel like she's a talented wrestler. She doesn't have to really do that, but
people will do what people do.
Yeah, people do what they want to do, so it is what it is. But
right,
definitely something to pay attention to. And yes, if they made a mistake, if WWE made a mistake, show them. I will say there's a lot of people who have often said WWE dropped the ball on this person, and sometimes they have. Don't get me wrong, for sure they have. They released Drew McIntyre at one point.
Yeah.
So there is always that opportunity to come back. I will say this: go out there, be undeniable. You'll be completely fine.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Phil for the super chats. We have David Primero dropping $1.99. He says, every time Aussie show announce releases, follow suit. I think that is true because they did announce Crown Jewel Perth.
Yeah, Perth. Yeah.
And then we got the releases. And
that does happen quite often.
Was it Elimination Chamber in Australia?
Bro, tell me why I was watching SmackDown on Friday and I seen them talking about Perth. I was like, bro, not this again. Bro, do you remember how early we woke up for that show?
Yeah, I love it though. I love waking up early for pay-per-views.
Bro, woke up at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a time.
It's good, bro.
And it's going to be what? Crown Jewel is the pay-per-view?
Yeah, so champion versus champion for the Crown Jewel Championships.
Yep. Uh-huh.
So that means John Cena versus Jey Uso? Probably not. No, I don't think Jey Uso will be champion by then.
When is it?
October 11th, I think.
You don't think Jey will hold the championship that long?
No.
So what, you're going to do John Cena versus Sami Zayn in your eyes?
Depends. It might be Seth. I mean, we'll see how they go.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
That's why I'm excited for Raw tonight.
For sure. I'm pumped for Raw.
Yeah, me too. Shout out to David Primero for the $1.99. Cornell Bryant dropping a $19.99 bomb. He says, is the fake outrage over with, or is the IWC still crying about talent whose careers were already in limbo with WWE? And why do the internet always glaze Triple H saying he didn't have a say in releases? Like, are you dumb? He's the COO. Cornell, thank you for the super chat. This is an interesting one. I'm happy to talk about it. I don't do the fake outrage with releases because I think about the everyday person that works at Walmart and Target and grocery stores who get fired because of budget cuts and layoffs. And, living in Michigan, I don't know how it is for people outside of Michigan, but I know, for example, there is literally a Chrysler plant, part of the big three, Chrysler plant, literally doing layoffs every year, thousands of people getting laid off, losing their jobs. And those numbers are drastically high. Every year we see them. So personally speaking, I don't have this fake outrage that everybody does have. You'll never see me not have, I have empathy. You'll always see me be empathetic. Same thing with Billy. We're not dumb. People have lost their jobs. It sucks.
It happens.
But it does happen in the real world. I hate how the IWC tries to position it as WWE's evil. They only do this. They make record profits. The big three in the auto industry make record profits. They do it all the freaking time.
Nobody, we don't see people going on the internet talking about this person lost their job at Chrysler.
Yes. And you also don't see me and Billy sitting here fantasy booking who should be fired.
Right. But that'll never be something that happens because that is weird. It's always going to be weird. You should never go out there and say, "Oh, I think this person should be gone." That's weird.
And I just want to throw this out there too. Like we saw, which this shit is so annoying, but I've seen so many tweets where it's like people were fake outraged with WWE and the releases, and then their next tweet, I swear to God, was literally, I cannot believe Nikita Lyons didn't pick up her phone. You know, like people put out these tweets, and then there's the accounts too. And I do want to throw this out there. I seen a couple accounts who are sitting there fantasy booking or getting mad. They're like, oh my God, Cora Jade should get released from WWE and go to AEW. And then she gets released from WWE, and people are like, I cannot believe WWE, the same account would be like, I can't believe they got rid of Cora Jade. She's so amazing. I wish she never got released. WWE is so this, WWE is so that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very clear it's not genuine, right?
No, none of it's genuine.
Yeah. I do think a lot of it is to induce rage. And
for sure, because you need something to talk about. You have to feel something.
Yeah.
It's I have to feel this.
Yeah, it's very disappointing in my opinion.
For sure.
Now regarding Triple H, Billy, what do you think about this? Triple H, creative content officer. What's your thoughts on him regarding releases?
Here's my thing. I don't know because I'm not back there, right? But what I do know is that Triple H's job as the content, right, puts on and tells the stories.
Yeah.
Whether or not he has a say, I don't know, right? I can't clarify that. But I do know who the big upperheads are, who actually are in charge, who really have that final say. And it's not Triple H. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's not him. The final say is Ari Emanuel. He's the last guy that people go to.
I don't know if Ari Emanuel even knows who the fuck got released or not, to be honest. But I don't think he's in the weeds.
And if not him, then Nick Khan, right?
I think. Okay, let me ask you this, Billy. Do you think like they have a list of, hey, we need to cut X amount of money?
Well, okay, so this is what I was going to follow up and say.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that Triple H has a say? I think he evaluates talent, and I think he's constantly evaluating.
Yeah.
And I think while evaluating, he is saying, this person maybe isn't up to par with where I would like them to be.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? That's how I feel about it.
I think it makes sense, but I actually think Triple H has a lot more to do with it than people think.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. I think what happens is Nick Khan gets the message from Mark Shapiro and Ari Emanuel. Hey, we got to do this. We got to make cuts. This is how close we are. We need to cut X amount of money and we need to do an evaluation. And I think Triple H, I think what happens is Shawn Michaels too, because you can't forget about Shawn Michaels. I think Triple H looks at the main roster before NXT, and I think he looks at the main roster as chief creative officer. And I think he looks at, okay, Braun Strowman, for example. Hey, man, like Braun's good talent, but at the end of the day, we are paying him a lot of money, and we don't really have much to do with him. I think we've already kind of hit our ceiling with him. We're not going to push Braun Strowman over Jacob.
Yeah, like there's nothing left for this gentleman to do.
Yeah, so hey, we need to cut X amount of money. I think Triple H says, okay, well, Braun Strowman's taking up a big share of that, so let's get rid of Braun. Okay, Dakota Kai. I really love her. I brought her back, right? Injuries are a concern. Also, we have Julia and Stephanie Vakir, and we have Jordan Grace, and we have this person.
And we don't necessarily see a world where she's going to fit in this new age.
Yes. I think there is that element of Triple H having those meetings and those conversations, thinking of like, hey, like, I don't think Triple H is 100% blindsided, is my point. And I don't think Shawn Michaels is either. I think WWE as a whole has at least some sort of thought with some sort of conversation with Triple H and Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, I do believe that naturally you just see that these people probably do have some kind of The thing is, they're not left out of the loop.
Yeah.
That's how
I
I
do
would
think
say
I
it.
think it was worse with Vince McMahon because Triple
Oh,
H,
for
and
sure.
it's like pretty well documented that like nobody saw
Triple
those
H probably
coming.
had no clue of what was going on.
Yeah, I think under TKO, I don't think Ari Emanuel and Mark Shapiro are that much in the weeds of WWE business. So Nick
But
Khan,
Nick Khan definitely is, and
yeah,
Triple H for sure.
yeah. Ugh. I don't know why people are trying to act like he doesn't have any sort of say though. I think if Triple H wanted somebody that bad, like if he was like, listen, I have plans with Dakota
Well,
Kai,
I
we're
think
taking her to this, we're
I
gonna
think
move her to the moon, right? Like,
yeah, I think you have to also understand the reason why people probably say that is there's probably because here's the thing: is you have the sickos and you got the shills, right? They both exist,
yeah,
and it's wanting to protect face, right?
yeah,
I'll protect at any cost. And that's what it is. When no, these people are allowed to be criticized and they are allowed to, go out and say like, oh yeah, no, he probably does have a part in it. And the real rational thing here is like he shouldn't be criticized for it. He's just doing his job.
yeah,
And yes, that is a part of the job, whether people like to believe it or not. As a boss, right?
yeah.
You have to make hard decisions.
So crazy. Shout out
Okay.
to Cornell Bryant for the 1999 bomb. Thank you, bro. D-Rec2 dropping 5 says, in a world of YouTube and streaming, nobody should complain about releases. You can watch what you want. Well, I think that's very well
Yeah.
said. I think
Yeah.
there's so many options, man. The wrestling industry has so many options and there's so many
It's
places to
so
go.
healthy.
And listen, it shouldn't be controversial to say this, but that's why I get heat for it. It's the fact that WWE, listen, if WWE didn't do releases and they just let the contracts ride out, this wouldn't be a big deal. It's the fact that WWE just cuts people, right?
Yeah.
But I do think in today's world, like there is so many ways. The amount of clout that you have coming from WWE and being a recognized name, you can go and do signings, you can go and do things and make money. Look at Sonya Deville. We have not seen her in a wrestling ring since she's been released slash contract, whatever.
Yeah, contract expiration.
Yeah, like she's doing stuff with Invicta, which makes me think, well, Anthem owns Invicta, so maybe they'll have her come to TNA. I don't know. But we haven't seen people actually wrestle, but they are still relevant and
what's
still
going
doing,
on.
yeah, like they're still relevant
I
in the
see
wrestling
Sonya
world.
Deville on TikTok all the time.
Yeah, but it's not even just that. She was just at like not Comic-Con, but whatever, these,
Going out there and doing signings.
Yeah,
She doesn't even
like
have
there's
to
ways.
necessarily go wrestle.
There's so many things you could do after being released from WWE. I'm sorry. I know WWE pays well and it's a dream job and stuff, but it's not the end all be all anymore. Like the wrestling industry as a whole is so different where it's like if I worked in WWE and I got released, I might not even put my body through hell anymore. I might just ride the wave of being part of WWE and doing content and streaming and maybe occasional appearances and special matches here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I saw
but again, that's why Matt Cardona put out the tweet that he did saying like, hey, these are your 3 options. None of them are necessarily bad, but this is what you do.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I'd put my body through that hell either.
Yeah, I mean but there's still ways to be successful after life in WWE. And listen, look at Aiden English. Aiden English was a wrestler. He got released. He does commentary for TNA.
And he's great at it too.
He's awesome. Like, I'm just saying there are still ways to be involved, and there's such a healthy industry.
For sure.
Oh, WWE bought AAA, so that means WWE, like these people won't work for AAA. WWE took out an option. Bro, how many people got released from WWE and went to AAA?
Yeah. How many?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How many? None.
Yeah. None. No.
You don't see it happen, bro.
No, it doesn't happen.
It's just the point. It's just the point. Shout out to D-Rec2 for the $5 super chat. Trevon Womakis dropping $1.99. Answer your questions about Veer. He has a Hindu monk. Are you saying that Veer is a Hindu monk?
Get out of here. For real?
Veer, life after WWE.
Are you looking it up?
Yeah. Okay, so this just came up from AI, Google AI. After being released from WWE in 2024, Rinku Singh, known as Veer Mahan, has transitioned into a renunciate Hindu monk, becoming a sannyasi in northern India. I probably butcher that. Sannyasi.
That's awesome.
He has vowed to celibacy and poverty, embracing life of detachment from worldly possessions. This change follows his earlier life as an MLB pitcher and pro wrestler. Wow.
That's actually kind of dope, man.
So, okay. Like Veer Mahan, shout out to Trevon for this because I obviously didn't know that. So I'm not gonna call Veer lazy or not passionate about it. He just took a whole different life approach,
Different approach.
which is fine, right? That's why we didn't see Veer come to AEW.
Veer just never showed up. Do you remember all those vignettes?
Yeah,
He's coming.
interesting times, bro.
Oh, wow. What a time.
Crazy, bro. That's
For sure.
crazy. Shout out to Trevon for the super chat. I appreciate that, bro. I didn't know that. So, now Sangha, I don't know. LOL. Yeah, Sangha, I don't know. Let's see. Sanga's life after WWE.
Yeah, what's he doing?
Sarav Gorjar. Nothing.
Nothing.
Nope. Nothing.
Chester said trolling a lot. Is he
Who's trolling?
No, I think maybe he's just talking in the chat. Maybe I'm tripping. Keep doing your thing.
Yeah, I don't know. So let's talk about it a little bit, man. Like, where do you want to see who go where, what?
So there was a super chat earlier. Can't remember from who. I apologize, but I would like to see a lot of those women go to TNA. I think a lot of them genuinely would fit in TNA.
Yeah.
I think they would thrive in that environment. Again, looking at what they did with Cora Jade, you know, I think she's gonna thrive there. You know what I mean? I think somebody like Gigi Dolan will thrive in that company. You know, I think kind of like you said, that exception being Dakota Kai and wanting to see what AEW would maybe do with somebody like her.
Yeah.
Braun Strowman, I stand by my word. I'd like to see him in TNA. That I know that's an interesting one, but I really think he would do well in TNA. When it comes down to like Shayna Baszler, would like to see her go into GCW, or a Mensa. I would like to see him in AEW. I think he would thrive in AEW when it comes to just like pro wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jakara Jackson, another person I'd like to see in TNA. Like, just I feel like, you know, there's a place for everybody in pro wrestling, and these talents, no matter where they go, no matter necessarily where I want to see them go, they're gonna thrive wherever they go. They really will.
Yeah. I would love to see Shotzi in TNA. I would love to see
that was my other one. I'd actually like to see Shotzi in AEW.
Yeah, I'm good on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would rather see Shotzi in TNA. I feel like most of the women fit with TNA. I think they would be really, really good in TNA. TNA, the reason why I'm going to advocate for TNA as well, by the way, and this part is like for me, what I'm passionate about is we saw TNA get raided. Deanna, Taya, Jordan, all gone from the company. Like, I want to see TNA like rebuild their knockouts division because they have a very good grasp on things, but they obviously got impacted because of AEW and WWE taking their talent.
For sure.
So that does play a factor in things. I think one, you know, it's interesting because you keep bringing up Braun Strowman in TNA, and the one thing I remember is when he left, he got released by WWE and he was doing the Control Your Narrative stuff, and it was obviously a flop.
Yeah.
But I do remember, I think I want to say Final Battle 2021. So this was Ring of Honor Final Battle.
He Control Your Narrative when they
invaded.
They invaded. Yep, I remember that.
So I remember him as Titan, right? Dude, I like Braun Strowman. I just don't think he's gonna do it. I don't know.
I don't either. I see a lot of people talking about it. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I do think that he's actually one of the ones that may just be done.
But also too, you got to factor in like, can his body still like do it?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think he's going to be done. I think he's made his money. I think he's one of those people that can ride off the name.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Start a podcast. You know, kind of just, go do the signings. Braun will be able to do that and not have to go put his body through hell.
Yeah. That is true. I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to Braun going there. What are your thoughts on Riley Osborne? Because he's a guy from Chase University, never really got too much of an opportunity.
Yeah, I
to do
know.
things.
I know.
He got released while injured. My belief has been I would love to see him in AEW or TNA.
That's where I was gonna say I'd like to see him in AEW.
Yeah.
Again, just kind of that wrestler's wrestler. You know what I mean? Fits that style, fits that mold. But I could also see him in TNA. I really could.
Yeah. Like I would love to see him part of the X division.
Yep. Especially with Leon Slater. I think they'd put on a banger of a match.
Yeah. I think when I look at AEW, the reason why I like Riley Osborne there, I would love to see him go to TNA as part, Turbo, Josh Terry, that would be his name. I would love to see him go to TNA, be part of the X division, build that thing up with them. But the reason why, and I got a comment on TikTok where I talked about him going to AEW, and people are like, bro, he's not Speedball Mike Bailey. He's not Ricochet. Like, he's not one of those guys. I'm like, he is a very good wrestler who kind of lacks with the character, which is exactly what AEW is. If you want to talk about like Mike Bailey and all these guys, put him in the ring with them and you'll see how good he actually is.
For sure. Absolutely.
But it's tough because AEW has a lot of guys who are very, very similar.
Yes. Yes.
So he won't outshine anybody in AEW, but he would be a nice fit for the wrestling matches.
Yep.
If he goes to TNA, he has a chance of,
finding himself, becoming a character, potentially
being a force in the X division. Yeah.
Right.
One thing I wanted to make clear though, like Shayna Baszler, I don't want to see her in AEW as part of the
Death Riders.
Yeah, like I know some people are thinking automatically because of her and Marina Shafir.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good on that.
Yeah,
you gotta let the Death Riders go, man.
Yeah. I feel like the Death Riders is kind of coming to an end anyways, but
yeah, it is.
Who knows? They might keep us going until
I think they might keep going as long as they want to.
So I don't want to see Shayna do that. I don't want to see that, but I do think like if you look at all of these releases, I think very few are really going to sign with AEW.
Agreed.
But for those who complain about, AEW is bloated, it's like, bro, AEW is bloated, but they're going to make their cuts too, bro. You're going to have people leaving that company too. So,
yep, it's going to happen.
There is a need like Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. Seriously, I'm very much in the realm of like, fuck it, put them at, make tag team women's belts.
Go ahead, do it.
I'm not saying AEW will do a great job with it, but I'm saying get rid of the trios belts and start putting some more women on TV. This is how you make people matter. You could do some cool stuff, So we'll see.
For sure.
Hard to say. Very hard to say what will happen. What are your thoughts on like, for example, because I know you mentioned like Jakara Jackson and the women TNA, but some of these guys that were released, like Oro Menza, for example.
Yeah.
Do you think like some of these talents will just go back to the UK and just wrestle in the indies over there? Or do you think some of these people will end up staying here?
No, I think a lot of them will probably end up staying here, if I'm being quite honest. I think our industry here in the United States, there's a lot of money to be made. You know what I mean? So, but that, as much as I say that, there's also a chance like, no, that, maybe they do go home and maybe, they just want to be with their families or, there's always that too. It depends where, and it's case by case, right? It's person by person. It just depends on where you're at. What you think is best for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting. Very. Sure. This shit's crazy, bro.
It is. It is. You know, we talk about it every year. It'll happen again next year. It'll happen the year after. You know.
Well, these companies are bloated, and TNA can't sign everybody, which makes it kind of hard. So obviously,
AEW can't
MLW.
sign everybody.
Yeah.
MLW can't sign everybody. GCW can't. Like, you know, people will spread. People will do what they feel is best for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now this is where I want to see what happens regarding, personally speaking, I want to see what happens regarding like Under Siege, TNA Under Siege, and then of course Slammiversary.
Yep.
It would be so interesting though for TNA to pick up wrestlers from the company they're partnered with, but
well, that essentially that's what
I
they
know.
can do. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, that's always a possibility. You got Mustafa Ali in TNA. Technically, they could bring him to
Andy
NXT.
Hartwell's there now.
Yeah.
You can do it.
That would suck for WWE. Like some of these talents sign with TNA, less money, and then they're like, "Oh, we want to use them on NXT for a program." Like, fuck. But they did do that with Dana Brooke,
Yeah.
Ash by Elegance.
Yeah. Look at Zachary Wentz.
Yeah.
Get rid of him. Oh, we'll just throw him on. We'll throw him up here.
But that was, I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of nice for him.
It was.
It was a feel good moment for Zach Wentz.
It needed to happen.
Yeah, because for him, he got screwed so bad out of WWE.
Yeah.
And that's because of the fake outrage bullshit, reactionary, fake ass cancel culture bullshit.
Cancel culture.
All those stuff was like deemed to like not be true. So
you ever think you're gonna get canceled? No, you can't get canceled.
Like a weird thing. I don't know. Like that's a weird thing. Like I don't do anything. I don't know. I just talk about wrestling.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
Don't cancel Angle. He's a good guy.
Well, I technically got canceled for treating you like a piece of shit when I.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I do remember that. I was there for that, huh? Laughing at me.
Yeah. Still never made that shirt, by the way.
No, I didn't. I don't know.
I got something in the works. Lying ass piece of shit.
Okay.
That could have been a big seller, bro.
Huh?
That could have been a big seller, bro.
Oh. Yeah. I know.
So funny. Yeah.
It's like Angle. Angle knows everything.
Do I?
No, you don't. You're starting to agitate me.
I threw that right up there. No, honestly though, yeah, I'm excited to see what free agency looks like, man. AEW can't sign everybody, TNA can't sign everybody.
Yes.
I think AEW should try. I think TNA should try. I think some of these people should also try MLW and GCW and things of that nature. I'm excited for free agency for sure. I look forward to seeing what happens, and obviously, let me just put it on record. I think WWE is going to keep on being great television with or without these people.
Absolutely.
And I think this is an opportunity for maybe other products or other companies to fill the void. Yes. We can talk about bloated rosters, but look at the void. What is the issue, right? I've seen a lot of people say, Tony Khan, don't you dare sign these people. Learn your lesson from before. Maybe Tony Khan is reluctant to doing so.
Yeah.
But at the same time, too, like TNA can improve a little bit with their X division. They're building that. TNA Knockouts division. Sure, there's a void there. Mm-hmm. The one thing I will say, you kind of convinced me, I will change my mind. I do think maybe Braun Strowman should go to TNA. For the simple fact that he would bring in name value. Not name value because he can't use the Braun Strowman name.
But people will know who he is.
Yeah, they'll know who he is. And I think I'm going to change my mind. I would be okay with Braun going to TNA. I would. I think it would be okay for him to go there. I think they would just have to really be careful with how they book him because he is probably the largest. He's probably the largest athlete in that company.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you go have a match between him and Moose. Like, that's something I want to see.
No, I'm down for it. You know what I mean? Currently, Moose is the X Division champion, and Braun Strowman should not be in the X Division.
No, but like Sammy Callahan is another person that I'd like to see him have a match with.
Yeah.
So it's just all about how you book them.
Or maybe he goes to NWA, joins EC3, and they rekindle Control Your Narrative. God. That shit was wild. Oh my God. I feel like that was like forever ago too.
Yeah, it felt like it.
CYN.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Control Your Narrative, baby. Good old Titan.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the perfect way to end the show.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. It felt good to be back live again. We'll be live tomorrow.
We're back.
Billy, are you doing a watch along tonight for Raw?
I am going to be doing a watch along for Raw. So anybody, if they want to come, Billy TKO on YouTube, come pull up. We do the live watch alongs. We sit there and we watch Monday Night Raw. They're becoming a lot of fun. I'm not sure if you know, but Phil is actually the booker of wrestling. He books all WWE shows. He's got the notebook. That's been our ongoing joke right now, is currently with Phil. Phil is the guy. But if you guys want, pull up Monday Night Raw. We're watching it over on my channel, Billy TKO. Come subscribe, come hang out. I appreciate all you guys.
Appreciate it, guys. Yeah, make sure you guys check them out. A lot of crazy stuff happening in the world of wrestling. So we'll keep you guys updated. Always enjoy talking about wrestling. So make sure you guys click subscribe, follow, do all that good shit. If you guys are watching on Twitter as well, make sure you click that follow button. If you're not watching on Twitter and you're watching on YouTube, click subscribe, become a member, do all that good stuff. Shout out to everybody who dropped a super chat: Trevon, DRecTube, Cornell, David, Phil, Gerard, Daniel, Double D, Tolino Channel, David Primero, Jay Henry. Shout out to y'all for your super chats. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Angle Show. We will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching.